right, all right. Shalom, Israel. Shalom, Most High in Christ bless. I'm Captain Shemaiah. With me I have
Officer Uzziah.
And welcome to another episode of 15 Minutes with the Captains. Today's topic, today's class, we're going to focus on terrorists. Okay, it's a topic that many people, especially in Christianity in the world, don't want to talk about because there's a lot of death and destruction that come along with that topic. But we're in the midst of various wars right now: Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Gaza, Palestine, Yemen, Lebanon, Syria, all of these various places, America, Japan on the brink of war, South and North Korea. There's a lot of war going on. So we must discuss the topic of terrorists because they are used as weapons of war. So let's open up with Ezekiel chapter 28. Ezekiel chapter 28, starting at verse 1. And we're going to try our best to wrap it up in 15 minutes. The last couple we did all right. I didn't go into the hour like I normally have in time past. So we're going to keep it in 15 minutes. So let's read that. Ezekiel 28, verse 1.
Ezekiel chapter 28 and verse 1. The word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, thus saith the Lord God.
So the prince of Tyrus, now this is what is called a prophecy. This is called a similitude or a similar wording to regard something else. So it says the prince of Tyrus or Tyre, but as you read down, it doesn't fit the qualifications of anyone that ruled in Tyre. It's a future prophecy about someone else. Go ahead.
Because thine heart is lifted up
With pride. Go ahead.
and thou hast said, I am a God.
Now, this person, this people, this race has said, I am a God. Okay, let's keep reading.
I sit in the seat of God.
Which prince of Tyrus has ever gone down this path here? No, it's a future prophecy about your so-called white man. The Lord is comparing him to the prince of Tyrus, meaning he sits in a very high esteemed seat. And his mindset is he is as God. You can read Isaiah chapter 14 to go further into that. But it says the same exact thing. Go ahead.
I sit in the seat of God, in the midst of the seas. Yet thou art a man.
It says, but he's not a God. He is actually just a man. Go ahead.
And not God.
Go ahead.
Though thou set thine heart as the heart of God.
So his mindset is, because of his technology, his military might, he sets himself as God. Go ahead.
Behold,
thou
art wiser than Daniel.
So it's a future prophecy that he's wiser than Daniel. Through his technology, his technological advances, the white man has been able to show himself to be wiser than Daniel. He's that big eye in the sky, the all-seeing eye of modern time. So it's a future prophecy about that Caucasian man. God says, yeah, you set yourself up as God. I can see why you try to do that in your pride, because you see how wise you are through your technological advances to the point where you're wiser than Daniel. Go ahead.
Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that can hide from thee.
So this man, no secret can be hidden from him. Again, all surveillance, all satellites, all monitoring of your phone, social media, there's nothing hid from this man. So in that advancement, he's become prideful as though he's God. Go ahead.
With thy wisdom and with thine understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches.
He's become very rich. He runs the earth. Go ahead.
And has gotten gold and silver into thy treasures.
Go ahead.
By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic.
By what?
By thy traffic.
Go ahead.
Hast thou increased thy riches.
Traffic also means trade. Go ahead.
And thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches.
So God is telling you how the so-called white man became so prideful. He has commerce. He's become rich. He has the wisdom and technological advances. All of these things has puffed him up to feel as though he is God. Again, for more reference, for precepts, Isaiah chapter 14. But go ahead.
Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, because thou hast set thine heart as the heart of God.
So because your mindset is so prideful, go ahead.
Behold, therefore I will bring strangers upon thee.
Hold on. This is odd. God said he's going to bring strangers to come upon the so-called white man. Go ahead. Who, according to the Bible, his name is Esau, Edom, Idumea. Any one of those three variations is talking about the so-called white man. But listen to what God says.
Behold, therefore I will bring strangers upon thee, the terrible of the nations.
The what?
The terrible of the nations.
The terrible or the terrorist of the nations. Go ahead.
And they shall draw their swords against the beauty of thy wisdom, and they shall defile thy brightness. They shall bring thee down to the pit.
Come on.
And thou shalt die in the depths of them that are slain in the midst of the seas.
In the midst of the nations. So now, this is very important. Want to stress Esau's mindset as being prideful, as being proud, but God refers to him as the king of Tyrus. Just like oftentimes you'll read about Assyria, it's not about actual Assyria. You read about Babylon, it's not actual Babylon. The scriptures are 2 and 2, right? Say one thing, but actually has a bigger spiritual meaning behind it. So the Lord says your pride and your destruction, what he's going to do is begin to send strangers upon thee. Let's go to Jeremiah 51. Jeremiah chapter 51 and verse 14.
Jeremiah chapter 51 and verse 14.
Come on.
The Lord of hosts hath sworn by himself, saying, surely I will fill thee with men.
With what?
With men.
With what?
With men.
So here Jeremiah is seeing the same thing. And God said he's going to fill the land of Esau, talking about Babylon the Great, modern day America. He's going to fill the lands that they rule. This is also going into Canada, but primarily America. He's going to fill you with men. But remember, we just read it in Ezekiel. It's called strangers and the terrible of nations. So these men are not going to have your best interests at heart. They are not going to be here to help build you up and uplift you. And even if they do, it's only for a time because they're here with an ulterior motive. Go ahead.
Surely I will fill thee with men as with caterpillars.
So he says the same way I have give you the traits and the characteristics of a caterpillar. They look very harmless, even fuzzy little innocent things, but they devour everything. They devour everything, even the shell that they come out of, everything. They're willing to devour their own habitat in order to accomplish the mission that God put in their spirit. In these last days, they're going to accomplish. So read that part again.
Surely I will fill thee with men as with caterpillars, and they shall lift up a shout against thee.
They're going to do what?
Lift up a shout against thee.
Go ahead.
He hath made the earth by his power.
So it says they shall lift up a shout against thee. What is that shout? That's that Allah Akbar stuff they be yelling. Play it again. That's what they're going to do. That's the shout. The shout is that unified noise among them to bring forth the destruction that God said they were going to do when he fills your lands with them. God says they were going to come in as refugees. They were going to come in as asylum seekers. They were going to come in as regular visa holders and regular, upright citizen holders. But they're not here to be a part of Babylon. They're not here to make America great again. They're not here for any of those reasons. They're here waiting for that call, for that shout we just read about. So let's go to Habakkuk chapter 2. Habakkuk chapter 2, and we're going to start at verse 5.
Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 5. Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine.
By his lies and philosophy.
He is a proud man.
There it is again, that same pride that he thinks he's what? Thinks he's God. Go ahead.
Neither keepeth at home.
Neither what?
Keepeth at home.
Because he's in everybody's business. There's a CIA building, a military base damn near in every single country in the entire earth.
To this day.
Everywhere. He doesn't worry about his home, America, but he's in everybody else's business. Perfect example, how much money is being given to Ukraine to fight that war? But there's thousands to hundreds of thousands of homeless filling the streets here. He doesn't worry about his land. He worries about everybody else's land. Go ahead.
Who enlargeth his desire as hell.
He does what?
Enlargeth his desire as hell.
He enlarges his desire as hell, meaning every stitch of land he wants, he gets it, but he turns it into the same hell that's here in America. He brings his homosexual policies. He brings his so-called democratic policies. He brings his religious policies, and it destroys every land that it goes to. Go ahead.
And is as death.
It says what?
As death.
You follow any of those policies is just like accepting death. Go ahead.
And cannot be satisfied.
And no matter what, no matter if it's one land, two land, one island, two islands, he's never satisfied until he consumes everything. Go ahead.
But gathereth unto him all nations.
What does he do?
Gathereth unto him all nations.
They call America the great melting pot. That wasn't the case in Tyre. It was not the case. It was not the case in Babylon. It was not the case in Assyria. They were never called the great melting pot. America is the great melting pot. The white man gathers all nations unto him. Go ahead.
And heapeth unto him all people.
Go ahead.
Shall not all these take up a parable against him? And a taunting proverb
Or that shout
against him?
Go ahead.
And say,
Say what?
Woe to him
destruction to him.
that increaseth that which is not his.
So what are these terrorists going to do? They're going to repay you for stealing what was not yours. Go ahead.
How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. Shall they not rise up suddenly?
Do what?
Rise up suddenly.
Because they're acting as though they're asleep. They're acting like caterpillars. They are called sleeper cells. He said they're going to rise up suddenly when they hear that shout. What does that shout say again? When that shout wakes them up, unifies them, they're all collectively going to go into action. Go ahead.
Shall they not rise up suddenly? That shall bite thee.
And what are they going to do?
Bite thee.
They're going to bite you. Go ahead.
And awake that shall vex thee. And thou shalt be for booties unto them. Because thou hast spoiled many nations.
Wait a minute. Tyre didn't have many nations in them. Babylon didn't have many nations in them. They had some, but not to the point where the Lord said what?
Because thou hast spoiled many nations.
They didn't spoil many nations. Go ahead.
All the remnant of the people shall spoil thee. Because of
it says all the remnant of those nations that you spoiled are going to spoil you. So guess what? All of those families over in Gaza that's being bombed, that America is supplying the weaponry to Israel, all of those Palestinians, all of those Turkey was getting some of it the other day, Lebanese, all of those Syrians. Guess where a lot of their family reside right now? Right here in America. Hey, your man DJ Khaled might end up being one of them that just you think he's just a music mogul that dance around on Instagram. When that shout come out, his behind may strap something to his big belly chest. That's what may happen because they're all waiting for that common shout to be set forth into action. They're waiting for the shout. Go ahead.
Because of men's blood.
Because of what?
Men's blood.
So they had the power to act as God and enact judgments like God, killing entire nations of people. This is who we're talking about here. Was that it?
And for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein.
Verse 9.
Woe to him,
destruction to him,
that coveteth an evil covetousness,
taking lands that are not his,
to his house, that he may set his nest on high.
It says the same exact thing in Isaiah chapter 14. It's talking about the same people. Go ahead.
That he may be delivered from the power of evil.
So he thinks being on high, he's going to be delivered from God's destruction. No, 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 my friend. Let's go to Job chapter 18. Job chapter 18 and verse 10. Job 18 and verse 10.
Job chapter 18 and verse 10.
Come on.
The snare is laid for him in the ground, and a trap for him in the way. Terrors shall make him afraid.
So terrors is just the shortened version of terrorists. Those that bring the terror are the terrorist. Go ahead.
Terrors shall make him afraid on every side.
On where?
On every side.
Why? Because those caterpillars are everywhere. God says he's going to fill thee with men as caterpillars. It doesn't say he's going to send a few your way. He said he's going to fill you. Your land will be filled with these terrorists. Go ahead.
And shall drive him to his feet.
It shall do what?
Drive him to his feet.
It's going to drive him to his feet. So guess what? They're going to be afraid and they're going to beat their feet, meaning take off running from fear. That's what God says. So the terrorist topic that we're talking about is no small thing. It is no small thing. So real quick, 2nd Ezra chapter 15. Let's go to the Apocrypha. 2nd Ezra chapter 15, start at verse 29.
2nd Ezra chapter 15 and verse 29.
Go ahead.
Where the nations of the dragons of Arabia.
Of where?
Of Arabia.
Here's those Arabians again. It's all throughout the scriptures. Here are these Arabians. Go ahead.
Shall come out with many chariots.
Shall come out with what?
With many chariots.
Many machines of war. Many tanks. Many of those was it RPVs and all of that. Those fully armored vehicles. All of those things. They said they're going to come out with many chariots, many jets, many helicopters. Go ahead.
And the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth.
Meaning they're going to go everywhere upon the earth as fast as the wind blows, right? Go ahead.
That all they which hear them may fear and tremble.
Didn't we just read that in Job? We just read that terrorists are going to make the people in America, which is Babylon the Great, afraid. Go ahead.
Also, the Carmanians,
which is Iran,
raging in wrath.
They're going to rage in what?
Raging in wrath.
In wrath. Go ahead.
Shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood.
They're going to go like the wild boars. If anyone has ever watched a video, someone hunting wild boars, they run straight into the hunters and try to tear them up with their husks, their tusks. They run through the woods and tear up anything. Sometimes predators can't even take them down because they're so wild. God says these Arabians, these terrorists are exactly the same exact way. Go ahead.
And with great power.
And with what?
Great power.
Because places like Iran, Saudi Arabia, they all have great power and finances to back all of the things that we're reading. All they have is money and opportunity. And those two things equal nuclear war. Go ahead.
And with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians.
Which is, that's even going to modern day Israel, because this is not Assyria of old, because we're reading the Persian captivity here under Ezra. So it's not talking about Assyria of old. It's prophecy about the future Assyria, which is Israel. So right now, the Amalekites in Israel, God even has your judgment set. Go ahead.
And then shall the dragons have the upper hand.
And then once they unite, which is why our YouTube channel got a strike the other day, it was because we showed how they're uniting for military drills right now, which shows the beginning stages of this prophecy coming to pass. And they said, no, we can't let this information get out. Let's put a strike on their page so the video is not shown. But we still got the video. And the video going back up.
That's right.
Go ahead.
And then shall the dragons have the upper
The
hand,
dragons will get the upper hand over America.
remembering their nature.
What about their nature must they remember? Finish it out.
And if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power.
It says they're going to join together. Iran and other Arabians, they're all going to unify. Because look, right now they're bombing Palestine, they're bombing Gaza, they're bombing Yemen, Jordan. They're bombing all of these Arabian countries, and all of them are acting independently. Right now what you're seeing is the beginning stage of them all saying, wait a minute. Turkey just said the other day, wait a minute, why are we coming together? Iran is now saying, why? Because they're bombing Iran now. Wait a minute, why are we not together? Iran just threatened all the neighboring countries and said, listen, if any missiles come over through your airspace to bomb us, we're going to bomb you too. So Iran is actually forcing them to unite. The prophecies are being fulfilled, and we rejoice in those things. Let the Lord's will be done in
That's
the earth.
right.
His prophecies shall come to pass, and none of these shall fail. Not one of them. So you just finished verse 31, correct?
Yes, sir.
So now let's go to Genesis chapter 16. Genesis chapter 16, verse 11 and verse 12. We almost done, y'all.
Genesis chapter 16 and verse 11.
Come on.
And the angel of the Lord said unto her, behold, thou art with child, and shall bear a son, and shall call his name Ishmael.
Shall call his name Ishmael. So we'll get the definition. Go ahead.
Because the Lord hath heard thy affliction.
Go ahead.
And he will be a wild man.
What is the prophecy about Ishmael?
And he will be a wild man.
We just read it in 2nd Ezra chapter 15. He'll be like the wild boar in a net. He's going to remember his nature, return to his nature of being what?
A wild man.
Go ahead.
His hand will be against every man.
He says, remember, we said the boar will run through the woods, he tear up the hunting dogs, he tear up the hunter, he goes through everything. He don't care what he got to run through. God says that's this wild man we're reading about, Ishmael. He's going to be against everybody. He's going to be against Israel. He's going to be against France. He's going to be against Great Britain. He's going to be against America. He don't care. Go ahead.
And every man's hand against him.
And everybody's going to want to fight against him. But remember, we just read, they're going to get the upper hand. Go ahead.
And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren.
Wait a minute. We just read about the uniting in 2nd Ezra chapter 15. Here it says Ishmael, he's going to dwell with all his brethren. So let's see who Ishmael is. Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary.
This is the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary definition of Ishmaelite. A descendant of Ishmael, the son of Abraham and Hagar.
Okay, jump to the other highlight.
All Arabs.
All who?
All Arabs.
All Arabians.
Following Muhammad's example, claim descent from Ishmael.
So these Arabs know who they are. Their descendants, they are wild men like their progenitor Ishmael. And they're going to return to their nature. They're going to cry out that one unified consent shout, that Allah Akbar crap. And guess what? It's going to start triggering all of these terrorist sleeper cells. So be very mindful. So we're going to end it with Nehemiah chapter 4. Nehemiah, the 4th chapter and the 6th verse.
Nehemiah chapter 4 and verse 6. So built we the wall, and all the wall was joined together unto the half thereof.
So Our objective, the children of Israel, is to rebuild the nation of Israel. That's our only objective. It's not to cry over the flood in Spain. It's not to cry over the flood in France. It's not to cry about the babies being bombed in Gaza and in Israel on October 7th and the Ukrainian citizens and back and forth. No. Our focus needs to be the work of the Lord. But go ahead.
So built we the wall, and all the wall was joined together unto the half thereof. For the people had a mind to work.
Go ahead.
But it came to pass that when Sanballat and Tobiah and the Arabians
And the what?
and the Arabians
And the Arabs, the descendants of Ishmael, the Ishmaelites, the terrorists. Go ahead.
and the Ammonites and the Ashdodites heard that the walls of Jerusalem were made up, and that the breaches began to be stopped. Then they were very wroth
They were upset that we're rebuilding the 12 tribes of Israel. Go ahead.
and conspired, all of them together,
They conspire together for what?
to come and to fight against Jerusalem and to hinder it.
And to hinder the building of the 12 tribes of Israel. So the Arabians, we just read, they'll be against every man, including the 12 tribes of Israel, the real Jews. But read verse 11.
Verse 11. And our adversary said,
What did they say?
they shall not know, neither see, till we come in the midst among them
And what is their objective?
and slay them
And to kill us as well. Go ahead.
and cause the work to cease.
Because their objective is to stop the building of the 12 tribes of Israel. Why? Because what we're reading here is their destruction. And they want to stop their destruction from coming. So we need to come out of those terroristic religions like Islam, who is the religion of the Arabs, the Ishmaelites, the sons of Ishmael. That has nothing to do with us as a people. And we need to stop worshiping the God of these daggone terrorists. And with that, Israel, we pray it was edifying unto you. With that, we say shalom.
What is a nation? Nation is men leading by example.